What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's been a while since I posted on this channel, so I'm really happy to be making content and pretty much updating you guys on what's going on with the fish tanks. And that's exactly what we're gonna be doing today. As you guys can see, the 20-gallon Innovative Marine Nuvo is looking pretty much the same. There's a couple tweaks we've done on it, but it's actually what's on this side that's completely different. So the last update on the freshwater tank that you guys had was the 1-gallon planted tank, but we've got something different set up, so I'm gonna show you guys that today. But let's go ahead and jump into the reef tank first, because we got a couple updates. So the 20 gallon's not looking its complete best right now. Let me explain. All the corals aren't open, which is a given. However, there is a bit of bubble algae that's kind of going around the tank. This one doesn't look so much like bubble algae, more like string algae, but then on other parts of the tank, I just cleaned it today, so that's why most of the corals are closed. But I just cleaned it today, so I tried to remove as much of the bubble algae as I could. So we got a couple different algae that are breaking out in the tank right now, trying to resolve that. Other than that, this big toadstool right here is closed because we just did a water change, and yeah, mostly everything is pretty much open back up, but not everything. So I apologize for that, but hey, our tanks don't look good all the time. Now, the biggest things that we've added and changed is the toadstool, first of all, which is unfortunate because it's not open right now, so you guys can't see how magnificent and beautiful it is. But this thing's about 5.5 inches in diameter. It's a very large leather coral, and that's exactly why I bought it. I needed something to fill up this side on the right, because we've got this whole group of Kenya tree. I needed something to balance it out on the right side. So we got this big Kenya tree, or excuse me, we got this big toadstool. It's a long, like white tentacle toadstool. It's essentially like this little guy up top, but much larger. So we've got two of them. That guy's doing really good as well. But this is the newest edition of coral. Everything else is doing pretty good. Like I said, not everything is open, but the GSP, even our euphyllias, which I never have good luck with those, but yeah, everything's doing decent, and slowly starting to open back up after this water change. But the other thing that I added into this tank, the last video on this aquarium I did was with this SLW10 from Jabeo. It's one of their wave makers. It's pretty much a replica of the Nero 3, but at like a third of the price. I believe these guys are like 50 bucks, a Nero 3 is like 150. So we added in a second one. What I wanted to do initially was have water get pushed across the back side, and then have this push water across the front side, but I was having a lot of the sand get kicked up, and it was causing just too much like dirtiness in the tank. So I ended up moving it to the top right, so we're pretty much just having this circulation of water at the top, but it's in a wave motion. So as you guys can see, the water is kind of like whooshing around in that wave motion. And then we've got a little bit of extra flow coming from the surface skimmer that I added on the right side, or excuse me, it was on the right side, added it to the left. And then we up the flow just a little bit on the return pump so we can get some more surface agitation. But I think in general, we got flow pretty much locked down. I think at this point, the tank is pretty much kind of dialed in where it's gonna be at. The only thing that I'm starting to consider upgrading is the lighting, as the aquanites are good, great even, beginner lights. However, with just growing coral and kind of furthering myself into this hobby, I think I want to upgrade and go with something more like an AI prime. So we'll see. That's kind of a chunk of money, so we might have to wait on that. But in regards to everything else, we're doing good. I'd also have to go back and look to see in my video if I had this guy or not, but I also have a cleaner shrimp. I'm not sure if he was in the last video, but he has definitely become one of my favorite inhabitants in the aquarium. He's so active, he's always moving, always hungry, and he's really colorful too. So now that we've got the update on the reef tank, we're gonna go ahead and jump over to the freshwater aquarium. If you guys wanna see more on the saltwater tank or have any questions about the update, let me know. I'm also planning on doing a new addition coral wise to the tank. So the sea fan in the back, I think I might give to a friend. It's not really doing well anyways in my tank, so hopefully it'll do better in his. But then with that magnetic frag rack in the back, I don't know what I want to put there, so leave in the comments down below what you guys think I should get. Maybe another leather coral, considering I want to change this tank into primarily leathers and softies. But if it's something you guys want to see, then let me know and maybe we can make it happen. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the freshwater tank update. So moving just a couple feet to the left, we've got the new freshwater tank setup. This is actually an Imagitarium 3.7 gallon just rimless aquarium. It normally has a pedestal on the bottom. It's like a 1.5 to 2 inch like block that they put. It's supposed to elevate the tank. In my opinion, it kind of looks a little cheesy and a little ugly. It's just held on by 4 dabs of like silicone or glue. So I just popped them off with a flathead, and now the tank sits completely flush on the desk. You can even add in a leveling mat if you'd like, but it's such a small tank that I just opted not to. So we upgraded from a 1 gallon. Big reason for that was filtration. I needed something to get just like loose debris and other things out of the water column, and not having a filter and the tank being so small, I couldn't add on a hang on the back filter. So I had this laying around from my old anemone only tank setup, which I never really got around to. So we ended up popping off that pedestal and using this as my freshwater planted tank. I have the return pump on the lowest setting, so as you guys can see, it's barely moving water around, but it's just enough to push it through some of that filter floss, get heated up, and then obviously circulate through the tank again. There's still nothing living besides the plants in here, so I don't really worry too much about water changes. I actually have only done, I think, 1 or 2 water changes on this tank altogether. I mostly just top it off with fresh dechlorinated water. I don't do any other filtration besides that because all the minerals seem to be doing good for the plants. I'll try to throw up a reference photo so you guys can see the growth from where it was and then the growth now. I started out with maybe a golf ball size of Java fern, or excuse me, Java moss, and I split it up. It stuck a little bit on the trunk of this branch and a little bit up here, and it has grown to, I would say combined now, probably a football size worth of moss. Maybe not that much, but it's a lot. So we also have the Java fern up top that's doing really good. That stuff is just booming. You guys can see all those roots growing off of just this one main plant. We've got the long hair algae in the back that's doing good, and then a little bit more Java fern in the back. Other than that, it's just got about 2 inches of black sand. I've got the stock return pump that came with the Imagitarium tank. I bought a cheap little like $12 heater. I think it's maybe 20 watts or something like that. And then this light is just an Office Max desk lamp with a Home Depot grow bulb. So that's what's been doing it. It's 3 pieces of equipment. You don't even need the heater in this sense. The room temperature keeps the water around probably 75, 76 anyways. But yeah, so it's a really easy tank. I do little to no maintenance on this thing. I clean the glass once every 2 weeks and then top it off once a week, but I don't do any water changes. But yeah, considering there's nothing alive in here besides the plants and maybe some organisms, it should be and is very low maintenance. It's also really cool to be able to look at the reef tank, and it's all very colorful and blue, but then coming over here, it's kind of got that darker aesthetic. Everything's more warm, and of course we've got like the greens from the plants and then the black from the tank and the sand. So I think the aesthetics are completely different, and it's really nice to have like an option to look at either one. I'm still on the fence whether or not to put something in this tank. I think at this point I just kind of want the plants to grow out and not really have to do any maintenance on it. Some of you guys on my Instagram have offered to put like the endlers in here, I think they're called. They're like the miniature guppies. You know, I've considered a betta fish, I've considered a couple other fish, but nothing really has stood out to me enough where I actually want to do the maintenance and keep up with water changes and making sure that the fish lives. But if you guys have any suggestions, then also please let me know. Yeah, that's the update on the freshwater tank. Like I said, it's an upgrade from the 1 gallon, but not much has changed in terms of like equipment or plants, just a little bit more water. So I really like this tank, very enjoyable to watch. And then of course the reef tank, very enjoyable to watch as well. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, like I said, on what to put coral wise in the reef tank or fish in the freshwater tank, then comment down below. But with all that being said, I will catch you guys on the next one. We're gonna try to post an update here soon. If we do get some coral for this tank or some fish for the freshwater tank, then of course we'll do an update. But with all that being said, I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.